In this video, we are just gonna discuss about lists on Python. Lists are ordered sequences that can hold a varieties of object types. That is, these are similar to strings or arrays in other programming languages, but which can hold objects of different types, such as integers, floating point numbers, string literals, etc. Next point describes you the syntax for defining list on Python. Python uses square brackets for defining the list, and inside the square brackets each objects are separated by commas. You can define as much as objects inside the list, except that you need to separate those objects of different types or similar types using commas. List supports indexing and slicing similar to strings. So in previous some of our videos, we discussed about indexing and slicing process in strings. Similar to that, we can also perform the same process of indexing and slicing on these lists. Coming to our Jupyter notebook, here I am just going to define a list like name list 1, and this is the syntax. You can see list 1, that is a list name, is equal to inside the square braces. I am just going to give like 1, 2, 3. I am running this. Shift enter. I have defined a list in my program. When I try to explore this list 1, you can see these are all the objects of the list. Since I have defined this list right over here, when I explore this list 1 in Python, it is showing me 1, 2, 3. And in the similar fashion, you can also define list of varying types like string, integer, floating point number. And when I try to explore this list 2, you can see this is throwing me this particular list. And remember that lists are mutable, meaning that the object can be changed in the runtime. That is, we are having a list right over here, that is list 2, and which is holding the value one string as at the index 0. To change this particular value, you can just write like list 2 of 0 is equal to, let's make this to be 1.0. When I try to execute this particular line or explore this list, you can see the value gets changed. So lists are mutable, which makes a major difference between strings and list in Python. And let me just define and declare a list. Let's say make it to be list 3, and this time I am just going to make a string list 1, 2, 3. When I try to explore this list 3, I am getting 1, 2, 3. And for finding the length of the list, you can just give or use the same function that we used in finding the length of a string in Python, that is len. So using this particular method, when you try to pass the list, you will get the length of the list displayed as the output of this particular function call. And unlike strings, you can also use the indexing process. So like strings, you can also use the indexing process in this particular list. So when I try to fetch only the first item of this list 3, you can just call the list 3 of 0. Indexing process will always start from 0, as we know that. So this first object inside the list will be holding the value of 0 index. This is 1 index. This is 2 index. So when I want only the first element or object of this particular list, I can just write like list 3 of 0. So this is pointing to that particular one object in the list 3. And the process of slicing also works in this particular list. So let me just write an example for that. When I want only objects from index 1 and 2, I can write like 1 is 2. So neglecting the object in the index 0, the rest of the elements will be displayed when you give 1 is 2 using the slicing process. So similar to the strings, you can also apply indexing and slicing process in this list. I'm not going to go in detail about indexing and slicing right over here. I have done a separate video in the same playlist. You can go back to that video if you want more clarity about indexing and slicing process. The only difference is that is strings, this is list. And the next thing is I'm just going to declare another list. Let's take it to be list 4, and this time I'm just going to give 4 5. We have already have a list called list 3 with 1 2 3, and here we have defined another list 4 having the value 4 and 5. To concatenate these two lists, I can just do this like list 3 plus list 4. So all the list will be concatenated like strings. This is also possible in list. And if you want this concatenation to be stored inside another list, let's take it to be my list. I can write like this, and when I try to explore this my list, I will get the concatenation of list 3 and list 4. So this is possible in this particular list. And one more function that I want to explain to you is append method. So let's take the my list dot of, when you type tab, you will be listed down with all the possible methods available in Python. So I just want to explain to you few of these functions. First one is append. So this append function, what it does is it will add anything to the end of the list. So when I try to add something like 6 to this append, what happens is, to this particular list, my list, this object 6 will be added to the end of the list, that is right over here after the object 5. So when I run this, and now when I explore the my list, shift enter, you can see now my list is having 6 values. At the end we have added 6. And one more function that I want to explain to you is, after the dot, you just want to give the tab button in your keyboard to explore all the possible functions in the Python. So the next function is pop. I'm just executing this particular line. You can see this outputted me with the value 6, meaning that this 6 has been popped out from the list right over here. This last object has been popped out from my list. Now when I try to execute my list, you can see I'm having only 5 values, 1 2 3 4 5. So why this is happening is, by default this particular function call is having the value -1. So -1 is nothing but negative indexing, meaning lost object. So whatever may be the lost object, whatever may be the index number there, this will be popping out the lost object if you are not giving any index. And now if you want to remove any particular index value, let's say we want to remove this 3 right over here in my list. So the index value of three object right over here is 0 1 2. So here I just want to pass 2. When I try to execute this, you can see the output value that I got is 3. Again when I try to run this my list, I am getting only 4 values, 1 2 4 and 5. We successfully popped out 3, that is the object with the index 2 from the my list using the pop function. And one more thing that I want to show you is the method sort. For that, I'm just going to declare and define two different lists, my number and my string. And this my number list is holding 5 different numbers, and my string list is having 5 different characters, that is alphanumeric characters. Now when I try to execute this particular line, when I run and explore my num, it is holding this value, and my str is holding this particular value. To sort this particular my num, you can use sort method in Python. So for using that, you can write like my num dot tab sort. You can just pass the empty parameter itself. This does not receive any parameter. Just run this particular line, and after running this particular line, you can just explore the my num. This returns nothing. Remember, this method returns nothing except that it does the process of sorting inside the list. Now when I try to explore this particular my num, you can see the number has been sorted in the value basis, that is the minimum value number is on the left and the maximum value number is on the right. You can also perform the same thing for this my str. So here I am performing my str dot sort, and when I try to explore my str, the alphabets has been arranged in the sorted manner, that is A is on the left, D is on the next, E is on the next, F is on the next, and G is on the final character. Alphabets can also be sorted using the sort function. So that's all that I want to explain to you about list, and in the upcoming videos while building our applications, we will be using these lists in our programs. I hope you learned something new in this particular video. See you in the next video. Thanks for watching.